Alright, so AJ Brown officially shut down the drama and shared his exact meaning behind the passing comments. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts weighed in, and it's pretty obvious this team is locked in. However, with that said, the entire passing game operation needs to improve. So let's talk about those areas as well as a couple key injury updates ahead of the Steelers game. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Alright, let's start with Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles officially getting approval for the sale of an 8% interest in the team, as the two other family investors, Ed Peskovitz, the founder of United Communications Group and former co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks, and Susan Kim, who's the chairman at Amcor Technology, splitting the payment. So good for them, they now own a piece of the greatest franchise in the NFL. And talk about an investment, because Jeffrey Lurie purchased the team back in 1994 for $185 million. So not only is he getting $664 million for 8%, but he still owns 85% of the team. Also meaning, yes, you can relax, there's not a power change or anything like that. Yet it is wild to think that he just got a massive lump sum and still owns the majority of the team worth over $7 billion.
A lot of dough. Wow.
Not that this is anywhere close to that, but Underdog is offering you guys up to $1,000 bonus cash. All you got to do is scan the QR code and use my code PHILLYSPECIAL. Because not only are they the official sponsor of the show, but right now they're offering all first-time customers a free pick in the lobby and up to $1,000. Now, my personal favorite is the Pick'em games, where all you got to do is make at least 2 selections, and if those hit, you can win big. But if you haven't heard of their game called Streaks, you got to check it out. Basically, you start out placing a $1 bet, $5 bet, or $10 bet along with 2 picks. And then if those green, all you got to do is make 1 selection at a time until you get to 11 in a row, where if and when you do, you can win over 3,000 times your money. Of course, if pick'em options are not available to you, they still offer their weekly draft leagues in a lot of locations. And quite honestly, I've won more money, I think, on the draft leagues than I have the pick'em so far. So again, if you want to get in on that action with the best option in fantasy sports, then scan the QR code, use my code PHILLYSPECIAL, or just click the link in the description. You can get up to $1,000 on your first time deposit. Also, I'm going to mention this as well, but I'm going to have my plays for Thursday Night Football down in the comments section if you want to tell them. I'm going to be honest, this Jalen and AJ drama has probably gotten blown out of proportion. Because when AJ said passing needs to improve after the Panthers game, it definitely does. Although on further review, it's not all Jalen, but I'll get to that in a second. Now I hear you, when BG of all people went on WIP and made comments suggesting there's a rift between 1 and 11, it certainly sounded some alarms that we were back to last season.
It's over. We are screwed.
By the way, Graham did come back to apologize, saying, quote, "I assumed that it was something that it wasn't." Followed by Sirianni trying to dispel those notions even further, while emphasizing that people have it all wrong when comparing it to last season, as he sees joy, the 2 players regularly eating lunch together, and ultimately it's just 2 players who are hungry to get better.
Everybody love everybody! Come on!
Look, it's not earth-shattering. I think we all know that friends and brothers can have fights and disagreements. So sure, maybe there's a little frustration, yet at the end of the day, I think it's too obvious that these dudes have each other's back. I mean, Jalen's the godfather to Brown's daughter. And remember who AJ's been fighting for since day one.
You do not pay this man. Just ship me off wherever he finna go.
It's over with. Wherever he finna go,
I'm telling you.
package deal me with him.
Listen, so you talk about pressure, how we get it done.
As I've said, it's not that big of an issue. And thankfully, we finally got some comments from the actual source.
I see them working to get better. I see them working to get better together. Whether that's after an install meeting where they gather right here and talk about, how AJ will run a route or how Jalen will read, all those different things. They spend so much time on that. And I said this the other day, I think I probably said it on the radio, is like, you guys get to see 3 hours every Sunday in the most, where emotions can play as high as they're going to play in any particular. You get to see 3 hours of that. I get to see this every single day, get to see these guys every single day and how they go about their business and how they interact with each other. I get to see them after practice working on routes together and talking how they're going to go. And so, again, I know there was assumptions of things, and which is we get how that goes, but I can only go on my personal experience of how these guys interact every single day, and these guys are so locked in and focused to getting better and getting better together, so they're on the same page to go and accomplish the things we want to accomplish.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk, especially from Brandon Graham, about your relationship with Jalen. Do you just want to offer any clarity on what's going on there?
Yeah, BG is just being BG. He's emotional. In that case, he just misspoke. Me and Jalen are good. So it's BG. Everybody loves BG. he's speaking from the heart. He's just giving his perception on something from the outside. So.
He's around you guys, all the time, though. Could you see where there might be a misperception based off of what
I think that's what everybody. I think that's what the world did. They perceived what I said about passing and felt like it was an attack on Jalen, and I think that's what he did.
I think in the end, Brandon, BG, we calling him Brandon, BG knows he spoke out of place, and he knows that. Sometimes things change as dynamics change, but for him, he knows I had a lot of love for him, just like I got a lot of love for all these guys. And ultimately, he's a guy that's a competitor. He wants to win. He damn sure wants the ball, and he wants to make an impact in the game. And I respect that, and that's just like all of us.
When he asked the question what the offense can do better, obviously it's not running the ball. He's about to win MVP, like literally. So what other thing we do on offense? We have to pass the ball, and that can go into protection. That go picking up a block. That go to us getting open quicker, being on the same page. Jalen reads or whatever the case may be. It's a collect group of things, and I think they just kind of just spend it that way. And and I said that for a reason. Honestly, because we went to the Super Bowl and lost. We tried again next year. It was 10 and whatever our record is, and it was a landslide. And here we go again. And it's something that we can correct right now while we have the opportunity. And that's why I was bringing the awareness or bringing it to everybody's attention. It's something we can focus on. We know we can run the ball. Saquon is doing a great job. We're not against running the ball. We love Saquon. Ask him what I tell him at the end of the game. In the game. Do your job. In the game. So this is fine. I'm okay with being whatever bad guy I have to be for the city, the town, whatever the case may be, for my team to holding everybody accountable, be accountable, and to get better. So if I'm that guy, I will be that guy gladly.
Ultimately, everyone cares about the team's success. And so, whenever something happens, whatever it is, I look at myself first, because everything starts and ends with me. And I take great pride in what I do. I take great pride in the responsibilities that I have when I am to the city and to this team. And I challenge myself on that. I'm my best when I'm my biggest critic, and I have to continue to challenge myself on being critical on some things so I can be better. And in the end, everyone expresses themselves differently, and I respect that, and I accept how anyone shows up. But ultimately, I look at myself first, and I say, how can I be better? What do I need to do to be better? And ultimately play at the highest level I can play. And that's what it takes to play complimentary football at its fullest. And so that's what the goal is. Everybody's coming in here. I just told the team, everybody dominate their box. Everyone, including myself. And that's what it's about. So I don't want to get lost in the sauce of everything else when the main thing is to come out here, go through prep, do what we need to do, and go out there and play.
Man, there is so much good to come from that. Thank you. First off, that's what a lot of us have been saying for a while now. AJ's not going to throw his QB under the bus. Which, by the way, as soon as this channel hits 90,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a Saquon Barkley signed helmet, or if you want it to be this Jalen Hurts Kelly Green one, then I'll make it that as well. So just do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, and speaking of Jalen, you're seeing him lead this team, while never being afraid to take ownership.
It's about the team. I don't care how it looks. It's kind of my game, and I think that's something that people have to accept, that it's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look, but he's going to win.
Also, let me just say that I've been critical of Sirianni in the past, but he's had some really strong comments and rhetoric lately. So even though we may not want him around the X's and O's, kudos to the head coach for the accountability and really bringing this team together. Anyway, having said that, the passing game is not firing on all cylinders. We know that, but it's not necessarily that they have to. Again, this is a team with an elite defense and an elite rushing attack. And also, for those saying the Eagles can't win a Super Bowl unless the passing attack gets drastically better, I guess my question is, were you saying the same thing before the Birds squared off against the Washington Commanders or the LA Rams or even the Baltimore Ravens? At some point, you got to accept the fact that even with teams knowing Philly's going to run it, they're just that good to still get the dub. Plus, sure, if you want to throw out the Detroit Lions as a team you'll need to be able to pass against, but But the Birds have stared the league's #1 rushing defense in the face and were able to win convincingly. Even so, does Jalen need to be a bit more aggressive? Sure, because there were more than a couple opportunities that he could have taken a shot to A.J. Brown and chose to be conservative. However, as I've said previously, it wasn't all on Jalen. Like Johnny Page shared, nearly every time Philly tried to hit a few deep shots off play action, there was an issue with the pass protection. So for a QB that's only going to get 20 pass attempts per game, it's hard to get a rhythm when he's pressured on a lot of the big shot plays. Granted, there's not much of an excuse, even with the blitzer coming in on this play, for him to not fire a strike to A.J. Brown for the first down. Of course, later in the game, the design on this 3rd and 7 didn't do anyone favors with where to go with the football. Although, the Jalen of old probably would have thrown this deep shot to A.J. Honestly, I'd take my chances with A.J. on one-on-one coverage 10 times out of 10, but still, we're starting to see QB1 as being very mindful about not turning the football over. Now, here's another play, a little bit longer developing routes, yet when Grant Calcaterra is matched up against the defensive tackle, I don't know how the expectation is that Jalen's going to have enough time to deliver the football. And then later, shout out to Johnny again because it's the same thing. Except this time, Kellen Moore opts to have Johnny Wilson stay in to protect Jalen. The problem is, there's not a lot of options on these routes either. Sure, potentially rip it to AJ, yet like I'll keep reminding, that's not who Jalen's been as of late. I mean, it's pretty much when in doubt, just don't throw it. But still, I'll say when AJ says passing, he's talking about the full operation. He's talking about the coaches, the O-line, the quarterback, and the receivers. For example, the Eagles typically run mesh concepts well, but this time they struggled to get close enough and gain an advantage on the secondary. And by the time a receiver starts to come open, Jalen's beginning to get pressure and takes off to run. Sure, could he have stayed in the pocket? Maybe so. Yet once again, you're seeing that it's not all on one guy. For example, Jalen has been much better against the blitz this season. However, on Sunday, he was actually worse against the blitz than no blitz by a significant margin, which is the opposite of what's gone on the rest of the year. And I'll say kudos to Carolina's defensive line for switching things up because they actually blitzed while staying in man way more than what they typically do. So it could have thrown things off for the game plan and the coordinators because they didn't really make a whole lot of adjustments there. Yet still, Jalen does need to be more aggressive. We just have to find that happy medium. Look, I could go on and on about the mistakes and the areas that all phases of the offense screwed up, but the good part is that these are all fixable. A couple quick thoughts on that. Please run more RPOs with slants to AJ. I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. Just like a run to Saquon is a cheat code, when does a slant to AJ not work? So it seems like a no-brainer to combine both. Also, can we please play with a little more tempo earlier in games? Seriously, the Eagles have had the slowest rate of snapping the ball in the entire league. I'm not saying that the Eagles need to play lightning fast, but still just a little bit more tempo earlier in the game would put the defense back on its heels and I think get this passing game a little bit more on track. And with AJ going all Joker mode in his profile pick, I'll encourage everyone to take whatever the over is on any of his props on Underdog. Although while Philly's receiver is hopefully dominating, Pittsburgh appears they'll be without star wide receiver George Pickens, as Pickens initially popped up on the injury report last Friday. Yet this week after having an MRI, head coach Mike Tomlin revealed that the hammy is more significant than what they'd initially thought, saying the #1 target is doubtful to play and has an outside chance at best. And considering that Pickens leads the Steelers in receiving yards with 850 along with 55 catches and 3 touchdowns, that's a big blow to Pittsburgh. Heck, Russell Wilson didn't look that great last week without Pickens while only throwing for 158 yards. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamic that this creates for the matchups, but I'll get into all that with my Saturday game preview and everything else there. What I will share right now is that the Eagles got some good news at practice, as Reed Blankenship was out on the field looking like he should be good to go Sunday. And not that Tristan McCollum played poorly against the Panthers, but the Ghost just takes the defense to another level. Also, Sidney Brown was back at practice, which is a great sign for his knee injury, and the same could be said for Britton Covey, who went through walkthroughs. However, it's Wednesday, so should get a more complete injury update by Friday. Although shout out to Dave Zangaro that said Lane Johnson, Mekhi Becton, Landon Dickerson, and Darius Slay appeared to be spectators. Of course, seeing how Nick Sirianni does things, it's most likely due to rest. As always, if anything changes, I'll be going live to keep you guys updated, and can we just pause for a second and take a deep breath? I mean, the sigh of relief here to just move on beyond this drama is incredible. Also, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and make sure to turn those notifications on. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.